Good day, everybody, and welcome to the Whole Life Coach Certification. And it's 7 days, and this is day 3. We've done 2 days already. What we're going to do is we're actually going to do a talk with Mary Phillips. Mary Phillips is from California. She's going to tell you where she's from. But we're going to tell you, Mary's going to tell you what we did last night. And I think you're really going to enjoy this, especially you women. This is really going to be interesting. So understand, before we start, I just want to say this, that I've stated it before, and it's a proven fact. Nothing causes more scar tissue than surgery. Did you get that? So just understand something. You are going to pay twice for the surgery, and then you're going to pay for the rest of your life. Now, some surgeries need to be done, right, Mary?
Of course, some.
Yeah, some do.
Few.
Yeah, very few and far between. Probably not more than 1 out of 100 need to be done, because the rest have to be done because the health care, medical and natural, is not so good. Not so good. Because people do not understand that it's a scar tissue issue. It's crystallization, calcification, displaced from the bones. Okay? And here's the big problem. It creates all these physical blocks, and these physical blocks, you don't see them, but you will become bound up inside. And, you know, after a while, you think it's normal, you think it's natural, you think it's aging, but it's not. If ever you get surgery, you've got to get Wolfe Non-Surgical. And I'll tell you, I don't know anything else that'll pull it apart. And you'll see, Mary's going to tell you how fast it worked and how chronic it was with her and how fast it worked. So understand, that's what people are here to be taught. First, we're going through the Whole Life Coach Certification, because the invisible creates the physical, which means your emotions, until you learn how to master them, and that's why you're here. I think we forgot about that one. But we always have to look at the physical, because we do have physical bodies. And I don't care whether you're talking about spinal problems, okay, lung problems, heart problems, you've got diabetes, you've got endometriosis, okay, you've got arthritis, you've got migraine headaches, you're losing your eyesight. It's all a scar tissue issue, displaced calcium, and we can help you with that. Okay, so Mary, why don't you tell them what you did and how long ago did you do it?
So it was about 10 years ago, and it all starts with emotions, because I was trying to be perfect. I've been athletic my whole life. I'd had 2 children, and I was kind of sold a bill of goods when I started talking to a plastic surgeon about a mommy makeover, which is still so popular now. And so anyway, they went in and they gave me, I thought I was getting a mini tummy tuck, and I ended up getting a scar. Well, they cut into me, and they cut into me all the way around, around the back side of me. Did you see it last night when you were working on me?
Not the backside.
You didn't see how far back the
No.
scar went? And so what they did was, he ended up botching the job. He cut me, or actually he took too much skin out, and I ended up opening back up. So I have a scar about, what would you say, about an inch and a half?
What do you mean, down below?
Yeah, right
Yeah,
on my pelvis.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, it is.
It's pretty,
Yeah, it's about an inch, yeah, about an inch and a
yeah,
half.
which is so much better now than what it was about 5 years ago. I did a little deep tissue with Abby
Yeah.
years ago. And
Yeah.
anyway, so I've had pain for 10 years, and I could feel things tighten up, and I go to yoga a lot, and it was getting harder and harder to do any sort of back bending. And so anyway, I decided.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
And understand something. It's like the roots of a tree.
Exactly.
And the only thing that grows roots is surgery. You do not, oh wait, there's 2 things that grow roots: surgery and a tumor. Take a look at a tumor online. You see the roots come off of it? And that's what we do. We'll go in and dismantle the roots first, because that's how they're getting fed, right? So we'll dismantle it that way. But when you get surgery, you're going to get 3-inch. They can be 3 inches long, and I'll tell you something. They were about 2.5 inches long on Mary last night.
Well, they were like ropes.
Well, it was a thick rope, and it was about an inch thick, and it was. Well, why don't you tell them?
Well, which part? Because
All of
so
it.
much.
You go ahead.
Well,
It's your story.
Genevieve, Daryl's daughter, worked on me for an hour and a half, and I really thought that we weren't going to be able to break through it.
Yeah, go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
didn't think we were gonna be able to break through it. I could just feel as she was working on me, that it was just, the scar tissue was so thick and so dense, and I just thought, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this. And my heartbeat was right here at the surface, and I was worried that it wrapped around my abdominal aorta, and so that was my biggest fear. But then you,
I said, it didn't. I said the reason why you have a heartbeat there, you can have a heartbeat in your leg, you can have a heartbeat in your toe, and it's called the physical block. So you've got invisible energy, okay, and that invisible energy, you can call it spirit, you can call it your aura, you can call it whatever you want, chi, the Chinese call it chi, but we have an invisible energy that flows through us, and we have blood and we have lymph, right? So when it comes up against a physical block, it carries the heartbeat with it. And so wherever the physical block is, the heartbeat's going to be there. Your heart is beating, that's pumping the blood, right? The heartbeat is in the blood, so you'll see the heartbeat was caught right here.
well, it was kind of right here.
Yeah, right here.
You brought it down to
Yeah.
the belly button.
Well, and then I worked on it, and then the heartbeat moved. And then we worked on it, and it moved again. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Because it's all just physical blocks. And she had a big physical block.
huge.
Yeah, it was huge. So it was like about that wide, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and it was probably about that thick. But how deep did I have to go?
Daryl was sweating and out of breath when he got done working on me. Right?
Yeah, that's because
I was hugging.
that's only because you make me nervous.
I was busy hugging something to try
Yeah,
to hold it in.
she was a trooper. Now understand something. You can say, okay, so what was worse? Having me go in deep and feeling me open that up, and of course there's always going to be pain attached. Because when you've got something in your life, and every time you think about it, and you can't take personal action, that emotion, that negative emotion gets buried in the problem. That's why tumors grow bigger. That's why your scar was growing bigger. That was just frustration. So understand, everything you've ever done, did anything ever help except for this?
No,
No,
nothing.
no. And I'll tell you something right now. It was harder than beef jerky. At least beef jerky, you could eat it. I mean, it was,
Okay, but what did you say to me?
what?
You said it's a good thing you're into health.
Yeah, oh, I said, I said it's a good thing you're in health, or you would have had 3 or 4 surgeries already. Because what would have happened is it would have strangulated the whole peritoneum, all the organs in your abdominal cavity would be strangled. And they'd go in there to remove all the scar tissue, and guess what that causes?
More adhesions.
Cause more adhesions. Within a year or 2, you gotta go back in. And then eventually it's gonna choke her off and she wouldn't be having any bowel movements. And then she wouldn't be urinating. So that it all spreads, just like weeds.
Even if I didn't do more surgeries, it wouldn't have ended well for me because that just kept growing.
Well, for one thing, when you've got 85% of your energy in your abdominal region, and yesterday you had at least probably, without exaggeration, 25 to 35% was already scarred, and her organs were all jammed together. So now what's going to happen? We just worked on her, or actually Genevieve did all the work. I came in and I got the credit. That's the way it usually works.
No, Genevieve is amazing.
I know. I said she did all the work.
Yeah.
But I get all the credit though.
She gets credit.
Okay, I'll give her some. All right. So, anyways, no, she did an amazing job, didn't she?
Oh, amazing.
I told you she was the one.
Yeah.
She's the one. Okay, so we'll go back in there in about 7 days, and there 30% will probably want to come back because understand. First, it starts off as a thought, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then it starts off as, then it becomes a program in your mind, and then it, belief to a program, and then it becomes a habit. So in these cells here, there was a habit saying we needed to keep and hold the scar tissue in here to protect her. So even though you might change mentally, emotionally, and I mean, come on, all the fastings you do, the diet, it would never move this. She would be miserable for the rest of her life. You would be, and that's just the way it is. Look at girls, get ready, because you're going to be miserable for the rest of your life with every cesarean you've had, every tummy tuck that you've had, every breast lift that you have.
It cuts off your lymphatic system.
Yeah, it cuts off everything. You cannot stop the flow of the invisible and the visible. You will be in big trouble. And so what she was getting was actually, you were getting disruption. So the disruption was actually, the blood flow was causing disruption, the lymph flow, and even the energy, because it was coming up against a wall. And then that's where the heartbeat was. And guess what? If you really knew what you were doing, guys out there, you being doctors, practitioners, you'd know that where the heavy heartbeat is where the problem is. And that it's a wall, it's a physical problem, and it needs to be taken apart, okay? Or you're gonna be, just think how hard your heart pumps.
Exactly.
How hard do you think your heart is pumping to try to get the blood around? Hard enough that you have your heartbeat down here now, and your heart was trying to tell you got a problem here.
Yeah.
Okay, so the reality is, you're not stupid, you're not dumb. Therapy out there is ineffective.
Yep. And most people think that you can find it on an X-ray, but you can't.
No, you can't find scar tissue on an X-ray. And that's why, with doctors, scar tissue is never important until it's a tumor. And that's it. Oh, wait a minute. With natural health therapists, it's not important either. It is not important. Natural health therapists, even massage therapists, do not work on scar tissue. You might get the odd one that does pressure point therapy or some kind of friction technique, but they don't take the fibers apart to let the light in, to let the blood in, to let the lymph in. I'm not downing them. I'm saying that the whole world of therapy needs to change, and we're willing to teach everybody and anybody.
But even deep tissue doesn't describe what it does.
No, this isn't deep tissue, but we use the word deep tissue because if we didn't use the word deep tissue, they wouldn't have something to grab onto, right? And that's why we use the word non-surgical, because it's actually what we're doing. We're actually doing surgery without surgery. And if you don't want to do surgery without surgery and pull apart the fibers and break up the calcium so it can go back into the bones, and to bring up the heat by increasing the blood to melt the crystallization, then that's where you get all your nerve pain from. That's all your nerve pain. Your nerve pain is from inflammation, crystallization, scar tissue formation, and mutation. That's it. And then what happens is people will say, well, I don't have any feeling in my legs anymore, I got diabetes. No, the diabetes is not the problem. It's all the scar tissue that's in your legs that's wrapped around the nerves that's giving you that dull pain, but when you touch your leg, it feels numb. You can't feel anything, but then you feel this deep pain in there, and that's because the scar tissue is wrapping around and pulling on the nerves. The same thing with somebody, they have a knot right in their back of their back in the hip area, and it's just a knot. So you go to get an adjustment when you have a sciatic problem, right? Here we go. You go to get an adjustment when you have a sciatic problem, and guess what? It helps to the first red light. Or you go to physiotherapy and they try to stretch it. Well, that's kind of goofy, because if I tie a knot in something, if I stretch it, I just make the knot tighter, don't I? And then that knot can press on a nerve. It might make it smaller, but eventually that knot's going to grow again, because a knot is inflammation, irritation. So you've got to take it apart. So physios, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And people are going to say, yes, it does. No, your body works, because it takes you just as long almost to get well by just healing. Just walking and exercising is a healing thing. You know, doing yoga is a healing thing. But the reality is, unless you're going to get rid of the scar tissue, and practitioners aren't doing it, that's why everybody's getting older. That's why, you know what, believe it or not, do you know why you can go to Costco right now. Why don't you go to Costco, everybody? Go to Costco. There's a whole aisle now for women and men. It's a whole aisle.
Yeah, of course.
Depends. A whole aisle. And do you know why they're peeing and pooing themselves? Scar tissue. Inflammation, because nobody's taught them how to get rid of the inflammation. Okay? And the scar tissue now, because the valves are getting all scarred up and they're dripping all the time. All right? Or you're pooing your pants. And that's it. There's a whole aisle. So understand something. That means if Costco's saying there's a whole aisle to depends, okay, that means you've been depending on the wrong people. And I'm going to tell you something. That means that there's what, 13 people in here? I guarantee you that 10 of you are going to be buying Depends, because Costco's counting on it, because they know where everything is going, and it's a scar tissue issue. And what about you? You're lucky with all that scar tissue all the way down to your pelvis. You know, from making love to going to the bathroom properly to urinating to your period, your whole hormonal systems. We just opened it up.
And I could feel it instantly.
You have your ovaries, right?
Yeah.
Well, now your ovaries are going, woo! Right? They are.
No, the second I stood up, I could feel a difference. Huge difference.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you something. We should have taped it because you wouldn't believe it. And you should, if you could come here and feel it. It was that thick, that long, and it was that deep. That deep. Okay? And right now, she's probably got only, what, 10% left? 5%.
But it'll start to come back a little bit.
A little bit. So it's because their body's saying, look at that went away too fast. That was a terrorist attack. So we've got to bring it back. So, you know, some of it will come back, but not if you're rubbing the essential oils every 15 minutes. If you're rubbing the pain away on there, and
DMSO.
and DMSO 3 times a day, and use the cream, and even rub it more because that's beef jerky, right? So the thicker it is, the more deeper the scar tissue, the more you use the DMSO, and the more you use the essential oils. You know, and we're told to use essential oils. Well, you just go home now, and you go put the oils on in the morning, and then put them on before bed. Are you like out of your head? Okay, essential oils and DMSO do not take away the pain. They do take away the pain, but they heal. They heal. The DMSO is the most powerful solvent made from pine trees to help to bring that blood into the area, to soften up that beef jerky.
Heat too.
That's it. Yeah, you bring the heat up, you melt the crystals.
Right.
You bring the heat up, you create the flow to move the calcium back out. You do that, you've got beef jerky now going into connective tissue, beautiful tissue. It just wants life. Understand something. We don't break up scar tissue. We bring back the invisible and the physical, being the blood, the lymph, and the energy, and instantaneously scar tissue turns back into healthy tissue. Now there's the miracle. Not us, the human body. Yeah. Anything else you'd like to say?
I felt like a kid again.
Yeah. So anyways, where do you live?
Do I have to tell you?
I promise I won't come.
I want you to come. Palm Desert, California.
Palm Desert, California. And so Mary does blood work, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And she's an amazing, do you want to tell people what you do? Just tell them a little bit.
It's basically, like we've talked about before, it's like a computer printout of your body. It's the life source of the body. And it's very preventative too. That's why I fell in love with it. So you can look at the quality of the red blood cells, you can look at the immune system, you can see all sorts of things. See if the liver or the kidneys are overstressed. You look at deficiencies. There's just so much.
So now she's gonna know.
Yeah.
So you ladies out there, if you live in that area, she's gonna reverse your tummy tuck. She's going to get rid of all the scar tissue from the wire bra. She's gonna get rid of, from the wearing the bra, all the padding here that's cutting off your lymph system.
No more wire bras.
Yeah, she's going to get rid of 2 baby fists that are in your pelvis. Okay, she's going to help to get rid of the bladder infection. She's going to help you to have better bowel movements. You know what else she's going to do? She can do an abdominal lift on you, and you will actually be 3 inches smaller. So if you were, let's say, you had a 33-inch waist, she can bring it down to 30, or maybe about 2 to 3 inches. Somebody bigger, you can bring it down even more, because she's going to put the organs back in place. Would you like that? She's going to be able to do a breast lift. She's going to be actually able to do a facelift. She's going to be able to actually go in deep, right? And because that's where when you have a wrinkle here, it's in the muscle. So she's going to go into the muscle belly and get rid of the scar tissue. And then if you use the right type of nutritionals, you'll get rid of the wrinkle completely.
And it's also in the organs too, what you see on your face.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So that's the deal. So how would they get in touch with you?
So I'm at sexyleanlife.com, or you can call me at 206.
No, I gotta say that slower though.
Oh, was that too fast?
Yeah, it really
Okay.
was.
Sexyleanlife.com.
Sexy Lean Life. Okay, there it is.
Yes.
.com.
.com.
Yeah. Okay,
I'll
and
give
what
the
else?
number too.
What?
You can call me at 206-327-1047.
Yeah, and she'll even call you back.
Yes, I will.
Isn't that amazing? You know what I really think is? It's the craziest thing. I call everyone back. And doctors don't do that anymore.
People are surprised.
And guess what? I don't want you texting me. I don't want you emailing me. I want you calling me. I want to hear your story. All right? Because you deserve it. And when you feel you deserve it, you'll have no problem calling me. All right? And don't call up and say, hey, sorry to bother you. All right? Because that's why you're sick when you say that. Okay? Don't do that. Say, hey, Dr. Wolfe, good I got through because you work for me. Have a good day. Oh, later we're going to do a testimonial on with the rest of the students, therapists, professionals here. and you'll find out how we've been treating you. All right? Have a wonderful day.